Welcome back to Easton Newberry Sports Complex. We're actually going to come back to the 1/8 recurve cadet men. We've had a ruling on the field that there was an error with the timing system. So we're going to bring the score back to 5-5 in this featured matchup between Hardy Trafford and Jay Lee as we have another shootout here. We've readjusted the targets. We're actually getting set up for a compound event, quarterfinal Compound Women. So the targets have been moved in 50 meters and now they move back out 70 meters, or 60 meters, excuse me. And we will have a conclusion with this tightly contested matchup. So we're going to have both archers going back to the shooting line, and we'll see how this whole thing pans out. So Jay Lee strikes first with his attempt, and Hardy Trafford follows up. And we have some cheering going on, and the celebration seems to be in favor of Jay Lee as he gives out some high fives earlier, one from his coach. Judge is just giving them some final instructions before they approach the targets. And we'll get a proper ruling here. We're here at the Gator Cup. Andrew Gelshoot alongside Kim Oliver. And we're taking that final walk down to break this score, tied up at 5, and determine a winner. And it looks like it's going to be close once again.
This has been a very exciting match. And this is what we like to see when you're moving through the matches and you're moving into the rounds at this 1/8 level. The competition is fierce, and it's so nice to watch as a spectator when the match goes back and forth as it has with this one.
Yeah, it has gone back and forth. It started out locked up through the first 2 sets, tied, and then we had a little separation as Hardy Trafford pulled ahead to go 4-2. We had another tie in the following set, bringing it to 5-3, and then setting up this final shootout as it was evened out once again at 5-all. And looks like we do have a winner. As Jay Lee pulls this one out, winning at 6-5.
And so much learning happens in these matches, especially the ones that end with ties or that come down to a one-arrow shoot-off. The archers learn so much about themselves as competitors and also about their competitor. And so again, it's beyond the competition. It's about the learning, and that's what we encourage the archers as they're heading into an event. Think about what are some of your goals for the event beyond score, beyond a number that you're reaching for, or helping them focus on, are there process issues that you want to focus on, things that you've been working on that you'd like to focus on, whether it's anchor or release, getting them away from being score obsessed, as we call it, and focus more on the developmental aspects. And when we move into one-arrow shoot-offs, there is a lot of development that happens with an archer's confidence and his or her ability to manage stress, manage their emotions. All of these things come into play during these shoot-offs. So very exciting.
Well, we're going to move the targets in a little bit closer as we get set for quarterfinal action in the Compound Women's Division. We had a little bonus coverage there for you, finishing out this recurve cadet men matchup. And we'll be back with the more Gator Cup action as we return. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to Newberry, Florida, as we're here at the Easton Newberry Sports Complex. Here for some Gator Cup action as we're set to begin the quarterfinals of the Compound Women. This is our featured matchup. We have Danielle Reynolds, who will be competing against Crystal Gauvin, and we're just getting set here for a practice round. And two different paths to the Gator Cup for each of these competitors, as we have Crystal Gauvin, who has only been doing this for a little over 2 years and has worked really hard to bring herself to this level of competition, and Danielle Reynolds, who has been around the sport for a while.
Danielle has had an amazing year so far. She's competed in quite a few indoor tournaments this year. She won the Lancaster Archery Classic. I believe that was back in February. And again, these ladies take their archery very seriously.
Yes, they do. They take it so serious, in fact, that Crystal Gauvin, through hard work and determination, wanting to get at this level of play, actually quit her full-time job with the goal of being able to get to this level within a year. So she has certainly had a rapid rise as she has quickly made her way into the fold here in this competition.
You'll notice that our target has not actually shrunk. It's a different target face, as we spoke of earlier. And again, our compound archers shoot the 80 centimeter face.
So we're going from 122 centimeters down to 80 centimeters. And what are some of the differences that we can look for here in compound competition as opposed to the recurve?
I think we'll see very tight matches. We've just seen a very close recurve match, but I believe we will see a very tight match between these two young ladies. Again, they take their archery very seriously. They both train very hard and often. And you'll notice that our scoring has changed a bit. We've moved away from the set system, and now we are using cumulative scoring.
So we're going to have a lot higher scores. It's out of a possible 30 for each end. We have 5 ends in this style.
For our maximum.
So we're at 30 to 29 right now with Crystal Gauvin in the lead. And you mentioned it was going to be tight.
It will be, yep. The goal is to get to 150 first. So it's the race to 150.
And is there really any change in strategy here, or is it still the same, just hit it as close to the bullseye as you can?
We want the X.
You want
the
that
X. We want the spider. Spider is a good thing in archery. It's not a bad thing. We have no fear of the spider in archery. So again, one of the things that you're noticing, I'm not sure if the camera's picking this up, but these young ladies are trying to get out of the sun. The day is wearing on and they still have more matches to shoot. And so maintaining their hydration, maintaining a cool body temperature, as cool as they can get in the Florida sun, all of those things come into play. The matches can be very exhausting because there is an amount of downtime as other matches finish. And so finding that calming place for the archer is so key in their mental strategy. For some archers, it's playing games on their phone, chatting with friends, listening to music off to themselves, away from the crowd. Each archer at this level has figured out what that strategy is, and they practice it consistently.
Yeah, certainly looking for a formula for success, but with the seasoned veterans that we have here, I mean, they probably have it worked out. It's just a matter of executing at this point.
Practice makes perfect.
I've heard that a few times before.
Those spiders, the X's, come into play with our compound shooters. I wouldn't be surprised if this match stays very tight, very head-to-head throughout. Now, you'll notice at home some of the differences from our recurve bows that were used earlier. The compound archers are using a release aid, and each archer has their favorite type, especially if there's wind, but they're using a release aid to grab the string and pull it back to anchor, whereas a recurve archer does not use a release aid. The bow looks a bit different, so you see the cams, and both of these young ladies shoot the same type of bow. And so we don't see a difference in the design of the bow necessarily, as we would if they were shooting different brands of bow. Some similarities with the recurve: we have our stabilizers out front, helping to make the bow as steady as possible, and we also have the sights. So that match has finished. And the matches may run a little bit quicker now that the field has decreased.
So we might be seeing a little change of pace here as we continue on. Yeah, we have both competitors retreating to the tent as I'm starting to feel the temperature rising a little bit. We're getting through the most humid point of the day.
And we hear the 3 whistles as before, letting the archers know that it's safe to approach the target. Again, the range rules are probably one of the main reasons that archery is such a safe sport. We all have a common language on making sure that the line is clear before we advance and those whistles are blown. So for kids, it's a great sport because, again, that discipline comes into play, and it is a good teaching tool for them, following rules as simple as when to approach the shooting line, when to shoot, and when to retrieve arrows. And it's such a confidence builder too. The first time an archer shoots a scoring round, to even when we have our tri-archery clinics out at the park, even seeing archers shoot for the first time and hit the, as they call it, hit the bullseye, hit the target. It's so much fun to watch and so exciting to see them hit that target the first time and be so successful. It's very rewarding. And then to take it to the next level, to then prepare them for that first scoring round in which they can earn their achievement pin.
So a lot of steps to success in archery.
Yes, and for our JOAD archers that are out on the field, that's how they all began, taking those little steps. And they are living the dream today. And for many of them, this weekend will determine the next stage of their dream, moving on to the U.S. World Team. And then in September, our Olympic trials process begins. So the experience they gain competing all throughout the year plays such a big role in who that Olympic team will be in 2016 headed to Rio.
Yeah, so it really is a year-round sport.
It truly is. People ask us, when do you all take a break? And I'm like, never.
There's no off-season.
We stay in Florida the whole month of May. Isn't that exciting?
So again,
but it's so much fun. Yeah, and the whole family can do, the whole family can do it. That's the great thing. My daughter can't wait until she's old enough to shoot 50 meters and participate versus, watching when her brother comes to these events.
We'll just update you on the score. It's 58-57. Crystal Gauvin in the lead. She maintains a 1-point lead over her opponent as we're just waiting on our next end here. Still have a few competitors on the field as some of the judges are making their way back.
And one of our club coaches and moms that has learned archery, she helped start the club with us back in 2009. She's on the field of play now as one of the judges. So it's very exciting to see the growth for adults, the learning that takes place. And I still say that, my learning curve is still at a 90-degree angle with archery. I learn something new every week.
Well, that's one of the great things about the sport is you really can't learn it all. There's always something else to pick up.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that. My son has earned his JOAD achievement pins with recurve, and now he has earned them with compound. So we're so excited to be able to put those in the mail and send those to USA Archery. So some quick shots here from the ladies, and they're checking the scopes. He said his goal is to earn his achievement pin with a bare bow next. So
you got that to look forward to
yes,
right there.
He's up for the challenge.
And the wind seems to be settling down a little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you just watched Danielle come to anchor, she hit what we call her wall. You'll notice that movement when the let-off happens for the compound. For my daughter, it's a glorious thing. She shoots compound. And she's tiny.
Well, that's one of the great things about the sport as well, is all different ages, all different sizes.
Mm-hmm. There's a bow to fit you, no matter what your size, that's for sure. And so as we wait, we talked about earlier that the field is shrinking. These young ladies, I'm sure, have been in head-to-head matches against each other in the past. And again, that camaraderie, I'm sure they've been on teams together and shot against each other as well. One of the things that's exciting when you travel internationally, as we had opportunity to do with Ryan last year in France, is that you feel so patriotic. You know, you go to a foreign country and it's really just those, 20, maybe 30, 40 people that are traveling with the entire group, and you're in an arena with folks from all different countries, and while our team is shooting, we're chanting USA, USA, and it's just so patriotic and so pride-filling to know that these archers are representing your country. And so I know that if Danielle and Crystal haven't been on a team together yet, they will be. So an international team by that I mean.
So oftentimes competitors, sometimes teammates.
Exactly. Maintaining relationships, definitely a key element, that's for sure. You want to know that you have each other's back in those situations for sure. That's why that sportsmanship and that level of respect is so important.
Well, it looks like we're going to have a little bit more separation here in the scores.
A little bit of a spread. Excuse me.
As Crystal Gauvin is able to increase her lead by 2 points as the score has moved up to 86-84. That's that race to 150 here in Compound. Competitors in good spirits here as the wind's picking back up and flying a little debris around as Danielle helps Crystal get something out of the back of her ponytail.
Oh no!
So they have each other's back,
yes,
just like you said.
That's right. Now you'll notice the tubing that's hanging off of Crystal's quiver. That is a stretch band that she uses, or I'm sorry, Danielle's. Off of Danielle's, that's a stretch band that she uses most likely to warm up, or if she's having to wait in between matches, she uses that to help her muscles stay warmed up and ready for the match. She also has quite a few things hanging off. There's a towel. In this type of humidity and heat and then the rain that we've had, the towel comes in handy to wipe off or protect a scope from the rain, or wipe your hands, wipe your brow. So again, all the fun accessories that archers have.
Well, whatever you can do to stay dry, I suppose. Certainly don't want to have perspirated hands, as you want to get as good a grip
similar.
as you can.
Yeah, similar to the golf towels, but we refer to them as shooter towels. When Ryan was without his boat and his equipment in France, he said that the quiver was what he missed most, because it becomes so much of how you shoot and your process, that reaching down, in that exact spot on your hip, because it becomes so much of how you shoot. He said that was what he missed the most.
Yeah, it's all that regulated coordination and muscle
memory.
Yep.
And the process, that is practiced day in and day out.
Well, we're set to begin our fourth end here.
And the wind is picking up. One of the things that our viewers at home might be noticing, especially if you're a young girl, is that ponytails are very popular in archery. We like to try to keep the hair pulled back and out of the way of the string.
Yeah, I don't think you want your hair getting wrapped around any part of that bow and arrow, so.
Crystal's waiting patiently. Not happy. Doesn't seem to be happy with that shot.
Yeah, she was trying to zero in on all yellow, but in the yellow, but just a little bit off to the left in the red.
Danielle's looking for some assistance with the spotting.
Yeah, I guess you'll get any help any way you can get it. She has a little laugh with the judge. You mentioned the field thinning out here. So we're going to take another trip down the shooting lanes here.
Yes, and remember, our compound archers shoot 50 meters. So the target is a bit closer. And in our international events, compound archers shoot 50 meters as well.
So it's a standard just all across the board in national and international competition.
Mm-hmm. We follow World Archery rules, formerly FIDA, renamed World Archery.
Both archers just going over the final details here for this end.
And again, we're marking our holes. And we know that from facial expressions, some of the shots weren't what the young ladies would have liked for them to be, but that's understandable with this wind. What we tell our archers when they're competing in windy situations is that everyone is dealing with the wind. So it's not isolated to your target. Everyone is dealing with it.
Yeah, it's a universal situation here that everyone must deal with. So it sort of creates its own level playing field, if you will.
Yes, it does. And that's when practice in the wind makes a difference too. Not always waiting for the perfect weather days to practice, but going out under all types of conditions.
So when you have a fair day, when you're calm or literally have no wind, I mean, it's got to seem like night and day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So again, a lot on the line this weekend for our compound archers, our adult archers, as well as our youth, and moving into our SoCal event in June for our Paralympic archers who are all vying for spots on the world team to represent their country on an international stage. The Youth World Championships will be held in Yankton, South Dakota. And so this is a great opportunity if you're in that area to attend the event and see archers from all over the world competing, some of the best youth in the world competing in archery.
Well, we're set to begin our fifth end here. Just joining us, this is quarterfinal action in the women's compound.
Excuse me, notice the archer's stances. Danielle's is much wider than Crystal's, and again, that's preference. Based on practice, years of practice, shooting, and being comfortable with what stance you prefer. In JOAD, we typically teach our archers to have a stance that is no wider than their shoulders. Quite a bit of emotion from Danielle.
Yeah.
Hard to read if it's positive emotion or frustrated emotion, so we won't make that call.
We'll just let her own up to her own emotion there. And Crystal Gauvin, she's set to shoot her final arrow as she does, and she has quite a social media presence as she's just gotten involved in the sport. She's only been doing it for a little over 2 years, and she likes to let those around her know what's going on, and she is able to do that through her social media presence. I'd imagine she'll be dropping some tweets here at the event. Can't tell you what she's on for the hashtag, but
I believe she has a blog on, is it crystalgauvin.com? And you can follow her there. We have some tight groups. From here, it appears the groups are tight on Danielle's target.
Yeah, from the looks of it, it seems like she should be elated with some of the placement of her arrows here.
So maybe that was happy emotion. So we talked a bit earlier about the Recurve Junior Dream Team program. USA Archery has recently started a Compound Junior Dream Team program for our young compound athletes in hopes of doing similar things as our Recurve JDT or Junior Dream Team does, in that they get together and have developmental camps with our U.S. national team coaches and build a camaraderie and build a team atmosphere. So it's a great opportunity for, again, the archers to head out to the Olympic Training Center out in Chula Vista and spend some time working on form and technique and team building. And that's actually new for 2015. I remember the first time that we visited the Olympic Training Center with Ryan for the selection camp when he was trying out for the Junior Dream Team. It is that first time you go and you're like, we're at the Olympic Training Center. It's so exciting, and you can take pictures on campus and on the facility and see all of the memorabilia from previous Olympics. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, hard not to be able to get pumped up for that.
Exactly. Very motivating. From time to time, USA Archery will offer camps at the Olympic Training Center. It's a great opportunity to have your archer attend as an invitee to one of those camps and experience the Junior Dream Team process.
Yeah, especially being exposed to some of the top instructors in the United States. Yeah, that's definitely a destination spot.
Yes.
If one is so lucky and accomplished.
Typically, the archers spend about a week together, and they work on what we call rectification, which is form changes, form improvements. We have a standard in the United States that we try to encourage the archers to shoot, which is the national training system. And so one of the great things that happens when you have a standard is that when you're on a team together, especially a youth team, other level 3 or higher coaches can assist you if you're having issues with your form, because you're shooting the same process across the board. And when I had opportunity to attend the level 3 instructor course, it was so exciting to learn some of the biomechanical methods that are used with the NTS and how we can help our archers in certain situations. So again, some of those ideas of building that cohesiveness and building that strong team.
Well, we're gonna come right back. We're actually gonna stick in the compound division, but we'll be moving on to the men for our featured match in a semifinal. So stay tuned with us as we come back for more Gator Cup action here in Newberry, Florida.